What's up, people? Orson Course here, coming at you with a Last of Us 2 review. So just a heads up, I just finished the game today. I played through the whole game. I didn't stop at that particular scene. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I played through the whole thing. I wasn't one of those people that looked at any of the leaks, so I had no idea what was actually going to happen throughout the game. I didn't look at any of the reviews because there were some that were out on day one. Didn't do any of that. So played through the game. Now I'm going to give my opinion on it. After I finished, though, I did watch quite a few of these reviews that were out there, and I was very disappointed with a lot of these reviews. Like, you're entitled to your opinion, all that, that's fine. I was just disappointed that people were giving their opinion on this game and like giving the final verdict on it before they even really got into it and played it. Like, I get being hurt to some extent from a video game, but I feel like some people were milking it a little bit. They were on the internet just like, I've never seen so many men cry on the internet. It was crazy. Some of it had to be fake. So here's the thing. I'm going to talk about four things. I'm going to talk about Joel's death, some of the LGBTQ stuff, plus stuff in here, the gameplay, and the story. Let's start with Joel's death. A lot of people were upset with Joel's death for a couple of reasons. They felt like he died in a unceremoniously type of way. They thought that he needed a heroic death, right? They thought that he was being a stupid character and that the writing didn't make sense. Like, that Joel wouldn't do that, right? They wanted like this happy ending between Joel and Ellie, you know, to bring back this feeling of nostalgia from the first game. So I'm gonna break some of this down and give my opinion here. First of all, I was super upset that Joel died. Let's get that straight. I was mad when Joel died. Like, on my video, I'm over there like, what is that? Like, I'm upset about it. But at the same time, I wasn't really upset with the way he died. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we remember in the first game, we know that Joel used to torture people. We watched him almost pop a dude's kneecap off, choke people out in chairs, and we know he used to torture people, like when he was a marauder. So we know that some people die in horrible ways. They don't get to be heroes. They don't get to be legends. They just die. Now, I think some of us were obviously biased. We were attached to Joel, right? That's the guy that we played as for most of The Last of Us. We got to see him do some pretty cool stuff. And to watch him get killed just with getting beat to death, basically, it kind of takes the wind out of those sails. And I don't want to say I liked it, but I respected the choice to some extent because it felt real, though. Like, I was actually upset when Joel died. I would have been upset anyway that he would have died, though. But this made me like really feel some rage, right? Like, I was mad. And I think a game does a good job when they can make you feel that, because there's not a lot of video games nowadays that like really actually make you cry, make you feel true anger, make you actually yell at the screen, right? And I'm not talking about little kids that rage. I'm talking about really make you feel those emotions. And Naughty Dog managed to do that. A lot of people stopped playing this game after that scene. So, I mean, they, regardless if you like it or not, they did something there. A couple more things to talk about with Joel. Now, a lot of people were saying that Joel was too smart to fall for what he fell for. Like, Joel and Tommy wouldn't have saved Abby, which I think is a lie. I think they would have saved Abby, especially like after everything Joel went through with Ellie. And Tommy, I think, is just a better person overall than Joel. So I definitely think he would have also, like, I had no problem with them saving that girl. I thought that was real. Now, a lot of people had a problem with them going to the cabin. They were getting chased by clickers. I mean, they had a horde after them, which is something that does happen. Like in The Last of Us 1, we got chased by hordes a couple of times. Last of Us 2, we got trapped by hordes and chased by hordes a couple of times. So it's not like it's something that doesn't happen, right? Like, this is something that happens in this world. We know it does. The world is over infested with these clickers and infected. Now, when they got into the house, people were like, oh, they're being too friendly. I don't think they were being that friendly. I mean, Tommy said his name and he was being jovial, like Tommy. Joel was just like, he was kind of sitting back. He was like, yeah, I'm Joel. They already knew who it was, though. It's not like they went in there and, like revealed they true identities or something. They knew who they were. Like, they were yelling each other's name the whole time they were with Abby. You know what I'm saying? Like, they knew. So them getting to that point, like, it sucked, but I didn't feel like it was stretching like people are arguing that it is. I really didn't. Now, blowing off his kneecap and all that. Yeah, it was hard to watch, but I definitely didn't feel like it was overdone. Now, the last thing here, people wanted a happy ending. People thought that Joel, this man that basically took away humanity's opportunity to get a cure, was going to get a happy ending in this story. Like, people forget how crappy of a person Joel is. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Joel, but Joel is not necessarily like, Joel is chaotic good at best, right? He's not a good dude. I didn't think that he was going to have a happy ending. I didn't think he and Ellie were going to go right off into the sunset. We know that he lies to her. We know that he kills these doctors and all these fireflies to get her out of there. Marlene, right? He kills a lot of people. Joel wasn't getting no happy ending. Like, that's, if nothing else, is karma, right? Just because you save one little girl doesn't mean it negates every bad thing he did from the rest of his story. It doesn't. Like, Joel wasn't getting a happy ending, and neither was Ellie. Like, we kind of knew that. Like, not in this world. I would have been upset if this game ended in some happy, feel-good type of way. Because The Last of Us 1 didn't end in a happy, feel-good type of way. Like, I left feeling sick at the end of that game. And this one gave me that same type of feeling. I was like, man, she gets no closure for the most part. She gets over her PTSD somewhat, right? She comes to terms with Joel's death, but she doesn't get anything. Like, there's no justice there for her, really. But that's life in this world. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to wrap up your life in this perfect bubble sometimes, this perfect package. Sometimes life sucks. And this game showed that, and people didn't want to see that right now, which makes sense because of the climate that we're in right now. Like, I get it to some extent, but you got to put that aside and appreciate, like, a game actually trying to show some form of life as it is, even though it's a fantasy, right? But sometimes life doesn't end in a happy type of way. The next thing that I want to talk about, a lot of people were discussing this LGBTQ stuff in the game, and they felt like it was, it was overdone or too much, or they weren't expecting Ellie to have a girlfriend, was one of them. People were upset that, like, they had apparently, I don't know this for sure, I didn't even Google it, but apparently people were saying that on the back of the actual hardcover of the game, like, there's an image of Dina and Ellie kissing. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just didn't really care about that because it didn't surprise me. Like, we know Ellie likes girls from the first game. We knew that she was going to like girls in this game, and now she's grown. So just like anybody else in the apocalypse, she's going to try to get it. I mean, she's going to try to get it in just like anybody else. So I didn't even see the issue with her and Dina and, this idea of them falling in love and all that. If it would have been a dude and a girl, nobody would have cared. You know what I'm saying? But people want to make it all politicized and make it like Naughty Dog is out with some type of agenda because their gay character, has a girlfriend. And wait, she kissed her too? Like, come on now. Like, they just doing that to sell copies, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe they're just showing what the life is like, right? Like, we do have people who like people of the same sex now anyway. So that right there, I'm not going to harp on that too much, because I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. I didn't feel like there was anything nefarious about what they were trying to do in this. I think some people like to look into stuff and then make it bigger than what it was. Now, to get into a couple of things here, and this is going to start talking about a couple of things that I didn't really care for that much. Like, I wasn't feeling Abby at first, but as we start to understand her place in the game and why she's there, it started to make sense. Like, I didn't hate Abby at the end. I was actually rooting for her somewhat, right? Like, I wouldn't have rooted for her over Ellie, and I didn't root for her over Ellie. Obviously, I wanted Ellie to win, right? Because, like, that is Ellie. That's my girl. I want Ellie to come out on top. But I didn't feel any hate towards Abby at the end of this game. Her character was fueled by revenge, right? She finds her father dead by Joel's hands, right? And not only that, she knows that, or I believe she knows that Joel took away the Fireflies, like their whole meaning, right? Their whole purpose of being there. It made sense for her to go after Joel and to make him suffer. You know, like imagine if somebody killed your father, your mother, especially when you don't have anything else. Like, what would you do to that person if you found them? Now, the fact that they didn't kill Tommy and Ellie, that was the part, at least Tommy. Like, if they would have killed Tommy, that would have made a lot more sense. The fact that they didn't kill Tommy, I thought that was a little, The only justification I can have for that is that they're still young, and as you get to know their characters a little bit, they're kind of idealistic for the most part, especially like Owen. You know, he's the one that kind of kept them at bay. And if you look at Owen, he's very like he's a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Like he tried to keep the peace for the most part. He had empathy. So I kind of get that now that I've played through the whole game. When I watched it the first time, I was like, why are they leaving Ellie and Tommy alive? But after that, I get it now. You know, they had some sense of humanity still. Whereas like if that would have been Joel, especially older Joel probably would have killed everybody. You know what I'm saying? But that shows that at the beginning, Joel didn't have that humanity. He had given all that up. Then Ellie kind of gave that back to him. Right? So he changes from his relationship with her. So I get that, you know. A lot of people are also upset that Abby is so swole, which I thought was kind of funny. I just thought it was kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to talk about that too much, but a lot of people were hot because she was like, she's an actual strong woman. We get it. You're making it political now, blah, blah, blah. But, and it's like, whatever, dude. She like, it's the apocalypse. She got big so she could tackle some dudes. I'm not mad about this. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? I think people were just looking for a reason to hate on Abby, which I get. Like, don't get me wrong. People wanted a reason to hate Abby, so anything that they could think of, they were going to throw it out there because she bashed my man's head in with a golf club. So after playing through the full game, just to talk about the story mode real quick, the actual storyline, I actually didn't think it was bad. Like there were a few things that you can argue may have been like a little forced, but I mean, give me a game that doesn't, that doesn't force some stuff to happen, right? So for that, I wasn't really upset with it, because I can't think of any examples where I felt like, oh my God, of course this was going to happen. Like for the most part, it flowed in a way that made sense to me. So I wasn't really upset with that. The only thing that really kind of threw me off was this whole rivalry between the Wolves and the Scars. And, before you get to meet Lev and Yara, I think her name is, the sister, you don't really get it either. But after playing through it, I can see that this is Abby's, like, her way to redemption as well. This is her way to do something good, to get her humanity back. And I hate that I keep using that word humanity, but I think it goes to that, right? You have this world where so many people are losing their humanity, not just because they're turning into infected, but because it shows that darker side of human nature, right? How evil we can be, Lord of the Flies right here, right? Just with adults. So I understood that. So for me, the story, I didn't think it was bad. I think people should really give it a fair shot and go through it. Is it perfect? No, it's definitely not perfect, right? There's going to be some stuff that makes you roll your eyes here and there, right? But all in all, this wasn't a bad story. Now, to end this off, I want to talk about the gameplay. For me, the gameplay was, it still felt like The Last of Us, but it definitely has some quality of life improvements, right? Like the dodging aspect of it was pretty cool. They added the silencer. You got a few new type of weapon ammunitions and also skill trees that you can use. They gave you a bunch of pills so you could upgrade frequently and use all these different abilities. I felt that the gameplay and actual combat was done really well, right? Was it perfect? No. Like the pill system, I feel like, they should have just gave you like all the trees from the beginning instead of you picking up a little book, looking at it for, a second and, oh, now I have the skill now. It's like, just give them that. And then as we get pills, we can pick and choose what we want to upgrade and then mix it around. I didn't see the point in making you like find these skills out in the field, especially if you don't actually get to see the person like training or something. I don't see the point of it like in a narrative sense. The other thing I really enjoyed about it though, all this type of like guerrilla warfare that you can do, because out here you can like lie prone now, right? I had so much fun crawling through the ground with like the silencer or the bow and just taking people out stealthily and seeing how you can like navigate these encounters from crawling under cars, crawling in the tall grass, right, sneaking up between behind people, slitting their throat and whatnot. You know, it was really cool to see them add some more of that, and it gave you more options when it comes to combat, right? Because in The Last of Us 1, like, yeah, you can sneak up behind somebody, you could, you know, crack their neck, whatever. But this right here, it felt like you had more options for being stealthy. Not only that, though, we also had more options with like melee and hand-to-hand combat, right? And even like with the animations, right? Like Abby, for instance, when she's bare knuckles, she actually John Cena slams somebody to the ground. So, you know, just little stuff like that. The actual combat system, I enjoyed it. I really did. I feel like I've ranted a little bit, right? Especially when it comes to Joel's death. All in all, people, I thought this was a fair game. Is this a 10 out of 10 game? No. I would probably give The Last of Us 2 like an 8 out of 10. There's some obvious flaws in the game, but they weren't flaws that took me out of the game. Like when I came home, if I had some extra time, I was playing The Last of Us 2 because I enjoyed it. The story was solid. The gameplay was solid. There was a couple of things in there that made me feel some kind of way. You know what I mean? I was a little confused with like Lev and, you know, like, was it a boy? Was it a girl? I never really was able to understand that part of it. But for the most part, I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about this game. There's a handful, but I can complain about any game really. So yeah, that's my take on it. If you're still watching this video at this point, put down in the comments what you think, how you feel about the gameplay, how you feel about Joel's death, the story, whatever. Let's start a conversation. I want to know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, people, make sure to drop a like, subscribe for more. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do more Last of Us content, actually. I might put up my gameplays, but that's about it. And that'll do it, people. This is Orsa Course. We'll see you in the next video. Peace, 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 peace.